Kathmandu Metropolis Mayor Balendra Shah has warned of setting Singhdarbar on fire after a vehicle of the KMC was stopped by traffic police. Also in this edition of Kantipur News, we have updates about conflict in Israel and the English Premier League. Good morning, I'm Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. 2 persons killed in a vehicular accident in Sindhupalchok, another dead in Pepsi-Cola, 5 others injured. Prime Minister Dahal more involved in formal programs as people's agenda lag behind. Private sector complains of lack of investment environment. Protests by asylum seekers and migrants opposed to Eritrean government turned violent in Tel Aviv. More than 100 have been left injured. And Nepal women's cricket team secured a 3-wicket win over Bhutan at the ICC Women's T20 World Cup qualifiers. Two individuals have died while 4 others have been injured in a vehicular accident in 5 Kilo of Sunkosi Rural Municipality, Ward number 7 in Sindhupalchok. The ill-fated 4-wheeler that was headed to Khanichor in Sindhupalchok from Doloka met with the unfortunate accident in Lamosanghu Giri Road section at 2 a.m. earlier this morning. Police have said that the driver Uttam Raj Marjan and Bal Bahadur Khatri have died on the spot. Meanwhile, those injured are being treated at the Dhulikhel hospital. In the meantime, 2 individuals have died and 5 others have been injured in a vehicular accident in the capital's Pepsi-Cola. The bus that was headed to Jadibuti from Pepsi-Cola hit another 4-wheeler, a motorbike and a scooter that were on the opposite side. Police said that 2 of those injured have died while being treated at the civil hospital. 5 of those injured have been taken to Bir Hospital for further treatment. Meanwhile, police have detained the driver of the vehicle as well. Prime Minister Dahal, while assuming the top executive post of the country for the the third time, had committed of doing exemplary works by spending more time on constructive works and less on formal programs. However, there have been massive discrepancies between what Prime Minister Dahal committed and what he is doing at the moment. Prime Minister Dahal, while inaugurating the 3-month campaign of CPN Maoist Center to increase public contact, claimed that his government had executed what he said was historic works. Even as Prime Minister Dahal claimed that all the government sectors are functioning to perfection, the federal parliament has remained without any business. The Prime Minister seems to lack the understanding of the kinds of problems faced by general public. In the 3rd term of Prime Minister Dahal, the federal parliament has only formulated a single law. The government has ignored a number of issues concerning direct impact on public life and good governance, while agendas of common minimum programs unveiled 6 months ago have not been implemented. The government service delivery has been reported lackluster, as over 100 justices have not been appointed from the Supreme Court to the district courts. The cases have been piling all the while. The country's economic sector too has been reeling under a massive inflation which has been seen in the market. The businesses have been complaining of the government's inability to pay back dues and the failure to improve the investment environment. The government, by riding on the Lalta Niwas land scam, 60 kg gold scam, fake Bhutanese refugee scam, is trying to project as an anti-corruption drive. However, within the face of political cover, the government's probe on these cases, despite positive beginning, has weakened. In our Public Voice segment, we have asked in several provinces, are they satisfied regarding the works carried out by the government? Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
कतै रुमलिएको हो कि कतै अलमलिएको जस्तो चाहिँ भान भएको छ
सुनकाण्डहरु हेर्नुस् ठुला ठुला तस्करहरु हेर्नुस् भुटानी शरणार्थी हेर्नुस् ललिता निवास हेर्नुस् अहिलेको सरकारले कहाँ के गर्यो त भ्रष्टाचार मात्रै गर्यो
हराएको जग्गाहरु सरकारको सम्पत्तिहरु सबै अब खोजीकारी भइराछ
सरकारलाई कसरी लामो समयसम्म टिकाउने भन्ने चाहिँ अलिकति त्यस्तो खालको आशा हामीले बुझिरहेछौं
सरकारले हामीमा युवालाई रोजगार दिनुपर्ने हो दिएन सकेको छैन भन्ने गुनासाहरू गाउँ गाउँमा छ
भ्रष्टाचारको जुन चाहिँ फाइलहरु खोलिरहनु भएको छ त्यो चाहिँ हामीहरुलाई राम्रै लागेको छ
फौजदारी मुद्दा लागेकाहरुलाई पनि छुटाएर आफू टिक्ने मात्रै काम गरेको छ
यो सरकारले अहिले हेर्दा भनेको जनताको जीवनस्तर उकासिने हालको काममा केही पनि चासो नदेखेको देखियो
भ्रष्टाचारीहरुको ठाउँ ठाउँमा पक्राउ भइरहँदा हामी धेरै सन्तुष्टि छौँ।
सत्ता जोगाउने, यो मन्त्री फेर्ने ऊ मन्त्री फेर्ने, आफ्नो मान्छेलाई जोगाउने त्यस्तो गरिरहेछ।
भ्रष्टाचारका प्रकरणहरूमा जुन किसिमको अनुसन्धान भइराखेको छ त्यो हेर्ने भने अत्यन्तै सकारात्मक पक्ष रूपमा पनि यसलाई हेर्न सकिन्छ।
सरकार आफ्नो सत्ता कसरी टिकाउने खेल मात्रै लागेको बुझिन्छ।
Saying the traffic police had stopped the vehicle of Kathmandu Metropolis, KMC Mayor Balinder Shah has warned of setting Singhadarbar ablaze. Mayor Shah has also alleged the government of being a thief. In his social media post, Mayor Shah has said that it was fine for yesterday, but has warned that if any other vehicles of Kathmandu Metropolis were stopped from today, he would set Singhadarbar on fire. Police have said that they had sought a permit for operating on a public holiday from a red vehicle with white number plate, which was travelling from Balkumari to Tinkune at around 9 p.m. last night. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, what is your take on the efforts towards adding a parliamentary committee? Your options are A, trying to increase expenses, B, politics of power share, and C, need of the hour. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the international news. Protests by asylum seekers and migrants opposed to the Eritrean government turned violent in Tel Aviv on Saturday, leaving over 100 people injured. Israeli police in riot gear used tear gas, stun grenades, and live rounds to disperse the protesters after they had broken through barricades near the Eritrean embassy. Pro and anti-government Eritreans also clashed with each other. Political divisions in Eritrea over President Isaias Afwerki's rule have spread to the diaspora, and this is the latest in a series of violent clashes in recent weeks. Protesters and officers injured. Israeli medical officials said more than 14 people had been treated for injuries, including about 30 police officers. At least 3 protesters were shot during the protests, authorities have added. Israeli police said that officers used their guns as they felt their lives were in danger. The violence erupted during a protest against an event organized by the embassy in the Israeli coastal city. The demonstrators had previously asked the police to cancel the event and warned of violence if they did not. Authorities, however, granted Eritrean government supporters and opponents permissions for the separate events. The violence spilled into the streets of Tel Aviv, and police said they have arrested 39 people. Typhoon Saola, the 9th typhoon of this year, made landfalls on South China's Guangdong province twice on Saturday. Now, timely measures have been taken in the affected coastal regions to ensure the safety of the local residents. China's National Observatory renewed a top-level red alert for Typhoon Saola on the day. The typhoon made its first landing on the southern coast of Guangdong's Zhuhai city at around 3:30 and then later moved back to the sea as well. At 1:50 p.m. local time, it landed again on the Hailing Island in Guangdong's Yangziang city. It later weakened to a tropical storm. It's in response to the gales and downpours brought by Saola on Friday night and Saturday morning. Local governments of the affected regions formed special working groups to carry out emergency rescue and evacuation operations. Following the weakening of the typhoon, production and life in Guangdong have returned to normal, with passenger train services, flights and ferries all resumed. Guangdong has downgraded its emergency response for typhoon from level 1 to level 3. According to the National Observatory, Saola is expected to move into the Beiwu Gulf of the coast of the Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region and continue to weaken. China has a 4-tier weather warning system, with red representing the most severe warning, followed by orange, yellow and blue, and a 4-tier emergency response system for typhoons, in which level 1 is the highest response level. The Japanese community is severely impacted by the discharge of nuclear-contaminated water from the wrecked Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant have every right to file their complaint against the country's government, said a Chinese expert. A Japanese civic group filed a complaint against Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and TEPCO President Tomoaki Kobayakawa on Friday over the ocean discharge of nuclear polluted water. It came after the Japanese government started releasing radioactive water from its Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean on the 24th of August. This actually came in disregard of concerns and opposition from local fishermen as well as neighboring and Pacific Island countries. Liaison Committee against the release of contaminated water from nuclear power plants accused Kishida and Kobayakawa of causing potential damage to the non-residential buildings and death due to professional negligence over the ocean discharge of the nuclear contaminated water. The group says radioactive substances in the wastewater cannot be fully removed even if treated by the Advanced Liquid Processing System ALPS, and many still be harmful to health. The Fukushima Daiichi plant, operated by TEPCO, was crippled in March 2011 after a massive magnitude 9.0 earthquake generated powerful tsunamis waves that caused the meltdowns of 3 of its nuclear reactors in one of the worst nuclear disasters in the history of the planet. North Korea said it had simulated a nuclear missile attack to warn the United States of nuclear war danger. The 2 cruise missiles carrying mock nuclear warheads were fired towards the West Sea of the peninsula and flew 1,500 kilometers at an altitude of 150 meters. The country launched several cruise missiles, some of them equipped with mock nuclear warheads, state media outlet KCNA has said, describing the exercise as a simulation of a tactical nuclear attack. It said the exercises were conducted at dawn on Saturday and involved 2 long-range strategic cruise missiles with mock nuclear warheads. The South Korean military said that it had detected several cruise missiles fired by North Korea into the Yellow Sea between mainland China and the Korean peninsula at around 4 a.m. local time. Now, this week, South Korea and the US began annual joint military drills at improving their response to threats from Pyongyang. Now, hundreds of people in Belgrade protested against the government of Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić yesterday. In a long-running campaign, protests which were initiated after 2 deadly mass shootings in the country in May carried on during the summer, with protesters calling for the police and law enforcement to combat corruption and for politicians to address violence in Serbian society. Chanting for the removal of Vučić, the protesters assembled in the front of the parliament and marched through the city. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz fell while jogging on Saturday and suffered slight injuries, causing him to cancel all commitments for today. According to government spokesperson Stefan Hebestreit, Scholz has bruises on his face. The injuries are not that severe. Scholz's appointment schedule for the upcoming week was unaffected, the spokesperson has added. The thousands of music fans from Brazil flocked yesterday to the opening day of the Town Festival in Sao Paulo. The festival's first edition lineup includes musical acts from Iggy Azalea, Demi Lovato, Bruno Mars, Maroon 5, Foo Fighters and Post Malone. The festival began on Saturday and will continue through September 3, 7, 9 and 10 at the Interlagos racetrack in Sao Paulo. The new festival, organized by the founders of the iconic Rock in Rio festival, is expected to attract 500,000 people over the 5-day event. And now, before we wrap up, here's a look into the top stories one more time. 2 persons killed in a vehicular accident in Sindhupalchok, another dead in Pepsi-Cola, 5 others injured. Prime Minister Pushpakammal Dahal more involved in formal programs as people's agenda lag behind. Private sector complains of lack of investment environment. Protests by asylum seekers and migrants opposed to Eritrean government turned violent in Tel Aviv. More than 100 have been reported injured. And Nepal women's cricket team secured a 3-wicket win over Bhutan at the ICC Women's T20 World Cup Asia Region qualifier. That is all for the moment. Our next English bulletin is at 6 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Have a beautiful day ahead.